Hi, my name is Chef Joseph. I'm executive chef from Rivers Restaurant and guest chef for Chelan Fresh. Today we are going to be making an apple tart, and we're going to go through the steps. Today I have my assistant with me, Corey Cato, and he will be helping me with all the logistics of putting it together. Today's apples that we're going to be using are Pink Ladies. In my personal opinion, Pink Ladies are an excellent apple. It's got a tart taste of a Granny Smith, but also the sweetness of a Red Delicious. So the first step that we're going to do is find some pastry dough. And there's a lot of different ways in which you can bring your pastry dough in. I like to actually have mine pre-made and ready to go. Now to make this dish that we're going to make today, it's actually a fairly simple dish to make. It only includes 5 ingredients with it, but the flavors that are in those meld together so well that people are going to think that this is a very gourmet dish and that it actually took you a long time to make. When in all actuality, this dish can be done in 20-25 minutes. I like to use just a little bit of flour on my cutting board, and that is just to make sure that our pastry dough does not stick. The pastry dough actually does come in frozen, and you can find it in your local supermarket in the frozen section, and it actually comes into sheets. So you want to make sure that when you get it and you're going to use it, you want to use it in a quick amount of time. And the reason is because it does have yeast in it, and yeast does have an opportunity to rise. And once it starts rising like that, you have to work very quickly with it. So to make the tart, I personally like to make them nice and round, about a 6-inch diameter on it. And the way that I like to do that is to get your favorite bowl or just find something that you would like to use. It really depends on the size that you would like to make. Me personally, this works beautiful. You go ahead, put it on there, cut around your dough. You can pop it out. And you have a nice, perfectly round piece of pastry dough. Now you can do this in many different ways. It just really depends on what kind of shapes that you would like on your tart. Me personally, I just like to go on each side without hitting the core, of course. Now when you cut your apples, you want to go ahead and cut them not too thick because you don't want them to be too undone when they're baking in the oven. So I personally like to go probably about 1/8 of an inch. And if you're doing a 6-inch round, it usually takes maybe about an apple to an apple and a half for each one. Okay, so let's talk about our ingredients that we are going to use for this apple tart. So what I have over here is I have cubed butter, I have brown sugar, I have flour, I have nutmeg, and I also have cinnamon. So what you would like to do, it depends on how sweet that you would like it. I like to use cubed butter, and I like to have it so it's chilled in very small pieces. So that way it can get into the dough, it can get into the apple, and it goes right on top. So even though my butter is cubed, I like to break it up a little bit more. And for making one tart, I usually use probably about a teaspoon of butter. The next ingredient I like to use is brown sugar. And with your brown sugar, you want to make sure that you have enough in there to really coat everything, which comes out to about 1 to 2 tablespoons. Next, we have a little bit of cinnamon, and you cannot go wrong with apples and cinnamon. And you just want to put a little bit in there, maybe just a pinch, enough to give it flavor, and just a little bit of hint of cinnamon, but not overpowering. And the nutmeg is just for the essence of it, and so just a pinch of nutmeg too. Once you get all your ingredients put together, you're going to go ahead and mix them very well. And when you mix them, the moisture from the apples is going to go ahead and help the brown sugar. And what it's going to do is really stick to your apple, and that's what you're really looking for. So now we have our nice rounds here, a little bit of flour. And the reason you want to use your flour is to make sure that it does not stick to your cutting board or wherever that you're using it. So with your apples, you can just take your apples and kind of make any design that you would like. Me personally, I like to go in a circle and kind of fluff them around. And you want to make sure that when you do these, you have your butter that's in there already, but you want to kind of spread your butter around too. And what that butter is going to do is soften up the apples and give it a beautiful caramel color on top of it. Now, our apple tarts are ready to bake. So when I like to bake my apple tarts, depending on the elevation that you're at, if you're at home, what kind of oven that you're using, you want to cook it at about 350 to 375. Of course, for higher elevations, you want to cook it just a little bit lower. Your cooking time on these are going to be between 14 to 17 minutes, depending on your oven and your elevation. And there she is. Look how beautiful that looks. It's puffed up nice and beautifully. All of the brown sugar and all of our ingredients have completely melded it together. So with our beautiful apple tart, it's completely proofed up and it's baked perfectly. The apples are nice and done, and you can smell it. The aroma in here is absolutely amazing. Now, you cannot have an apple tart without a good scoop of vanilla ice cream. We'll add some more caramel, not just for flavor, but also for a little bit of color on the plate. And of course, we have some beautiful mint here for garnish. I'm Chef Joseph, and once again, thank you for joining us today and cooking with us here at Rivers Restaurant. Enjoy.